No.
Welcome to this short session about lighting when working from home. This is about legislation and recommendations. And my name is Per Nylen, PhD at the Swedish Work Environment Authority.
My name is Hillevi Hemphälä. I'm a PhD at Lund University.
First, a few general words about WFH, which is shortening for work from home. The employer has 100% responsible for work environment when working from home, and that includes lighting. There is a provision about lighting from the Swedish Work Environment Authority, and there are 6 different sections in this provision. But the employees are also responsible. They must collaborate with the employer. At work from home, they had to inform the employer about the physical and psychological environment at home, and that includes lighting. Section 9 is about daylight. Daylight and an outside view is required when working steadily, and that includes work from home. Every home have windows, but it's not always possible to work nearby these windows. If you cannot work close to the window, you must try to compensate the lack of daylight by going outdoors now and then at breaks and at lunch, for example.
Daylighting is really important for our circadian rhythm, our sleep-wake cycle. It has a positive effect on our alertness levels throughout the day. So especially in the mornings or before lunch, it is important for us to get daylight. But we also need to be aware about the daylight glare when having visually demanding work, such as computer work. We need to have some sort of shielding device so that we're not exposed to glare from windows. And the shielding device could be curtains, blackout curtains, or thicker curtains.
Section 10 is about lighting, and that lighting shall prevent ill health. And that, of course, includes work at home. Bad lighting can cause bad postures, and that is due to lack of light. It can be due to glare. It can be due to improper glasses or lenses. Section 11 says that lighting shall fulfill visual task requirements. For example, reading printed text should be done in daylight if possible, or if not possible, you can do it in 500 lux reading light. To check the lux levels, you can use, for example, Swedish Work Environment's application Use. Glare is not accepted according to this section.
Glare is a very common disturbance, and especially a computer screen against the window causes a lot of glare. And this could be both present at daylight and at nighttime. And the most common indoor mistake is luminaires that are misplaced, misdirected, or unshielded, especially these LED panels that can cause a lot of problems at many workplaces. Are you disturbed by glare right now? What you can do to check that is to put up your hands like a hat. And if that feels more comfortable than without the hat on, you're exposed to some sort of glare. And then you can start to question, what can I do about this? Can I move my workplace, or could I move the luminaires or the lamp sources around? And you can also try this with the computers. You can use the hat test on a computer as well. And in that case, you just hold a piece of paper or a book or something above the computer screen so you can shield it from the light source or the luminaire itself. And then if it feels more comfortable to look at the screen, if it's easier to look at the screen, there's too much light that hits the surface of the screen. And in that case, you need to think about moving the screen as well.
Section 12 is about uniform lighting. That means that there should be similar lighting lux levels in all used areas for working, and that is to avoid stumbling on items or, for example, sleeping pets. Section 13 is about color rendering. It says that the lighting shall be suitable for the task to be performed. Often at homes we have lighting with a low color rendering, RA index, and we can see to the right we see two photos. The left photo is taken in a good color rendering, a high RA index. It's 100, which is the highest possible. And we can see here from the spectra below the photo that it's all wavelengths are present. That means that all colors will also be reflected in the proper way. The right photo is quite yellowish, and that is because there are very few blue wavelength. The amount of blue light is very scarce in this kind of light, and the RA index is also 80. So we suggest that when you work at home, you should perform your work in cooler light than the yellowish light seen to the right. You should use a color rendering that is and color temperature that is at least 4000 Kelvin.
Flicker or temporal light modulation, also called non-visual flicker. Flicker-free lighting is really important. Many flickering LEDs on the market. Unfortunately, there's no way of telling if the light source is modulated or not, or is flickering at all, because you cannot read it on the luminaire or on the light source that you buy. It's down to the drivers or the chip that controls the light source or the luminaire that is responsible for if it's flickering or not. So, but there's no reason to accept this exposure at all, because we don't really know the long-term effects. The short-term effects are mainly eye strain and headache. And also non-flickering light sources are not more expensive. They have exactly the same cost. You can measure with a mobile phone and use a screening as a visual inspector of if you can see a stripe pattern. So at the bottom here, you have very black stripes above, on top of a picture. And there you have 100% modulation, really, really sharp temporal light modulation or non-visual flicker. And in the middle picture, you have an incandescent light source where you only have a very low modulation of 15%. And to the right, you have a medium modulation of about 50%. So the incandescent light sources, we don't have any proof that these are disturbing us in any way. And you can actually see there's just very, very tiny stripes across the picture here. But the harsher the stripes are, the worse the temporal light modulation from the light source. So you can either use this phone, the mobile phone, and take a picture, or use Svea's app use. But also we need to think about that about 20 to 40% are more sensitive to visual stimuli, such as non-visual flicker. And when you are more sensitive, you have a higher risk for eye strain and headache and migraine as well.
Section 15 is about stroboscopic effects of temporal light modulation, that is flicker. And objects that seem to move slowly or even stationary, it can be due to a periodically varying light that a moving object you cannot see that it is moving at all. And this is a risk for trauma if you're hit by this object. But this is a very low risk at ordinary homes.
And as a conclusion, please remember that we need the daylight to be healthy. We also need to have enough illuminance over the work surface. And we need to evaluate the glare with the HAT test, as well as screen the environment for flicker with the mobile phones. Thank you so much for your attention.
Thank you.